Hi, I'm Harry Rock, and welcome to another edition of the Westfield Council on Aging Presents. This is a special collaborative effort between Mike Squindo, Executive Director of the Westfield Senior Center, Tina Gorman, COA Special Projects Coordinator, and Pete Coles, producer of WCPC Westfield Cable Channel 15. Our topic today is making assisted living affordable through the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program. And my guests are Sondra Jones, Regional Sales and Marketing Director, and Chelsey Welch, Director of Marketing from the Arbors in Westfield. So I'm excited about this topic today because it's something I know absolutely nothing about, but I think it's really a pertinent topic for all of our viewers. But we are going to be discussing the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program, which is a program that really provides an opportunity for low-income seniors to afford senior living. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thrilled to have you here. And, you know, I always like to start off by just having our viewing audience get to know who's sitting there in front of them as they're watching their TV screens. So, Sondra, I'm going to start with you. I understand that you've had a long relationship with the Arbors and kind of worked your way up. So when did you start? How'd you get interested in it? And how long have you been there? And what have your roles been?
I just had my 23-year anniversary.
Wow.
Yep. So that was just 2 weeks ago.
That's a long time. Do you ever think you're going to be in that one place for that long?
No, but I'm very lucky. So
you obviously
my husband always says, God, you love your job. I do. I love my
great.
job.
Obviously, if you stay any place 23 years, that's a real testimonial right there.
A lot of our regionals have been with us for a long, long time.
Wow. And how did you start? How did you get interested in it?
I actually, when I was younger, I delivered newspapers to senior housing.
Wow.
So I liked, being with the elderly and so forth. But and then I went in the military. I got out, and we saw the Arbors in Chicopee being built. And I said, what is that? And my mom said, that's assisted living. I'm like, what's that?
Yeah.
So I got my foot in the door as a nursing aide and then just kind of worked my way up from there. I was the receptionist for about 5 years, then marketing director and executive director. So I've worked my way up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so regional sales and marketing means you're covering
9 locations.
Okay.
So I work with the Chelseys of every building, the marketing directors, and I coach them and I train them and support them. So
there's 9 facilities, and where are they all located?
So we have 4 in Western Mass, Chicopee, Westfield, Greenfield, Amherst. And then Eastern Mass, we have Taunton, Stoneham, and Dracut. And then we have the Ivy. We couldn't name it the Arbors in Connecticut. So we have the Ivy at Watertown and the Ivy at Ellington.
And is that all of them? Or
That's all of them.
That's all?
Yes.
So they had to be called the Ivy?
Yeah. And we're family owned. So the family that owns us, they're in their 3rd generation. And they also have a home care agency called Integra.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's quite the... And how long has the company been around? You said 3rd generation?
3rd generation.
Wow. So it's been around a long time.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And Chelsey, what's your background and how'd you get interested in this?
Yeah, so I'm still a little bit newer to the company. I've only been with the Arbors for about a year now.
Okay.
And I was with another community prior, and then before that I was actually in the ski industry, so a little bit different.
Ski industry?
Yep.
Wow, that's a big shift.
Yep, definitely.
What got you interested in this?
So I had a bit of a personal story, so I kind of went through it from the family side, and it really made a big impact on me, and it made me want to be a part of a team that's able to help other families the way that team was able to help ours. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful story. I love that. Yeah, that's great. Well, welcome and thrilled to have you here. So let's talk about the Arbors. We've kind of already alluded to it a little bit, but let's just kind of go into its purpose and just what you offer for programs and services. So I'll leave it as a round robin, whoever wants to go first here.
Do you want me to go, Chelsey?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
A lot. So we're an assisted living community.
Okay.
So we offer assisted living and memory care at all of our locations.
And let's define assisted living.
So assisted living, I would define it as independent living with a helping hand. So they're renting an apartment. There's activities there. They have all their meals in the dining room. They can come and go as they please. They can still have their car there. And then we also have 24/7 staffing there. So if somebody, if you have a parent or whatever that's at home and you're worried about them being alone, they're never alone there. There's 24/7 staffing there. So if there's an emergency, there's a pull cord in the apartment, and they're going to have a staff member by their side in a matter of minutes.
Are people can leave on their own and go places?
Oh, yeah.
And they can have their own car. So it's just like a regular apartment,
Right.
essentially, except that
It's a little more expensive because there's personal care
got all the
services too.
care.
So maybe they are just nervous about getting in and out of the shower by themselves. So we
Right.
can have somebody stand by with them while they do their thing or help them get undressed. If there's some forgetfulness there, and the resident or family's worried about the resident taking their medications, we have staff standing by where we observe them take their medication.
Oh, okay.
And then we document it. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So,
Very cool.
big peace of mind.
Yeah. And that's the focus of everything that you do. There's not any other side. I know some facilities I see there's different levels of what they provide as far as programs and stuff, but it's just assisted living is.
Yep.
that's-
And we have different levels of care. So as residents
Oh, you do?
age in
Okay.
place, we offer more levels of care.
Okay. And can you define those just quickly, or?
It's more of like a time-based, I would say. So as people age, maybe it takes somebody, half an hour with a little bit of help to take a shower or something.
Right.
And then down the road, it might just take them a little bit longer for them to do that. So it's more of a
Right.
time-based thing.
Right.
But yeah, as they age, they might need more care, and we offer that.
And Chelsey, you are the marketing director, so people are coming and talking to you initially. Are you the first point of contact?
Yep. So people can give me a call when they're starting their process of just, if they're just looking or if they're ready to make a move, they can give us a call. They can come in, they can see our facility, and then we get to know them and kind of help set them up with a care plan that's going to work best for them.
I'm just thinking about this. So how many units are there?
So there's 90 apartments total.
Okay.
10 of them we have in our memory care program.
Okay.
So it's just for those residents. It's a secured program, but it's for residents who need a little bit more constant queuing throughout the day. But there's 90 apartments. 10 of them are in our memory care. So there's 80 assisted living apartments.
And I'm assuming you're full, or are generally always full or close to it?
Close to. I mean, it changes. Sometimes we might have 6 vacancies. Sometimes we might
okay.
have 10. Sometimes we have a wait list.
So that was where I was going with that question is, so when people come to you, they may not necessarily be able to get in. There may be a waiting period.
Yep, sometimes.
So what triggers a family to decide that this is the right thing for their parents or an older member of their
That's a
family?
really good question. It's hard because nobody wants to call us. We're not fun people.
Right.
I mean, we're fun, but it's not a fun thing to
Right.
have somebody who's been living in their home for 50 years make that change.
Right.
So sometimes, if you have your mom who's 90 years old, is she on board for this? Very rarely do we see that because
Okay.
it's a big change. Right?
Right.
But then sometimes what triggers it might be, mom's not taking her medications. I keep calling her every day and telling her, and I go visit her at the end of the week, and her pills are still there, but she told me she took them. Maybe they're not eating good, or, they're just noticing all these changes and they start getting worried.
Yeah. Is there an age requirement for this?
Yep, so they have to just be 62 or over.
Okay.
We actually have quite a range of ages at the Arbors. We have some people that are quite young, and then we also just celebrated 101st birthday. So,
101?
Yep, yeah.
Is Willie?
Gosh.
Yep.
Oh, that's
cute.
cool. And then they can have visitors at any time.
Yes, it's a residential community, so it's not a medical facility. It's a residential community.
Okay.
So yes, there's no visiting hours. Our doors are locked at 8 o'clock, of course, but
Right.
people can come and go as they please.
And do you offer programs and activities there for people to engage in?
Oh, yes.
Yep, we have a full calendar of different activities. We kick off every day with exercise, and then we go into all sorts of different things, whether it's crafts or trips or a whole lot of different things.
So I've seen the vans with the Arbors coming and going, so that they could be taking people somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Do they go shopping or?
Yep, we definitely help with some, we go out, I think it's weekly. We go to different grocery stores. We even go to things like TJ Maxx, like things like that. And then we also go, out to lunch. We do quite a few things.
Oh, wow. Well, that's nice. So you caught me by surprise when you said go grocery shopping, because I'm thinking they've already got their 3 meals. But
Yeah.
So what does the apartment entail? And so they obviously must have some food capability themselves with their own food?
Yep. So their 3 meals a day are included, but they're in their apartment. They have a kitchenette with a full-size fridge and freezer. So if they want to, load up their freezer with ice cream so they can have a late night treat, then they're more than welcome to do that.
Okay. And
And there's a 2 cooktop burner there too.
okay.
So if they wanted to make eggs or tea or whatever, they can do that in the
Right.
microwave.
Right. So the dining room, I'm guessing I've got that right.
Yes, you did.
The dining room. So 3 meals a day. Are snacks available other times of the day? Do they have? Is there availability? It's like a cruise ship. I have some ice cream or a snack or. Ooh, sorry about that.
That's right.
Thought I had that on.
Yeah, so we have a pub in our building where we always have, coffee, tea, and snacks available. And then also in our activities, we do a lot of like cooking together and baking together. So there's a lot of different availability for snacks.
Oh wow!
They actually have a little wine cart that goes around too. Sometimes.
A wine cart.
Well, yeah. They got to have their drinks. So,
Well, this is sounding much more enticing
I'm
now.
telling you.
Fun.
Wine cart. Not bad.
I know.
Is that every day?
Not every day, no. But, different events. Michelle, who's our activities director, and she formerly, years ago, was a bartender. So she'll make like them special fancy drinks or whatever.
Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah,
How much?
kind of like gaining the freshman 15 when residents move in there because they're eating all the time, and so. But it's nice,
Yeah.
So
Is it much of a transition for people moving in?
I'd say it's different for everybody. I mean, some people, they jump right in, feet first, and they just, hit the ground running, and they make all sorts of friends, and they're in the activity room all day long. Other people, they're a little bit nervous because it is a big change. They're leaving their house that they've oftentimes been in for years and years and years, and they're a little bit nervous, but we're right there to kind of help them, find the dining room, find a seat in the dining room, help them make friends, get to activities. So it really we take it at their speed, but we're right there to encourage them and kind of hold their hand while they get settled.
So I would guess that creating that family feel, a community feel where they develop friendships is really important. And I'm sure you have ways that you try to facilitate that so they don't feel lonely or by themselves or isolated.
Yeah.
I tell this story all the time, but we had a resident in one of our communities, and she came in and she had a little bit of forgetfulness, and she had her 3 family members there, and they were going, but Ma, you're going to do this, and Ma, you're going to get this, and Ma, you're going to have 3 meals, and Ma, you're going to make friends. And the resident was just staring. She was in front of me, and she's stone cold staring at me. So I was like, hold on, you guys. And I said to the resident, I said, do you want to move here? She said, no. And I said, why? And she said, I'm afraid I'm not going to have any friends. And she started to cry. So it's hard because, the kids in most situations want the best for their mom or their dad, and they know this is the best thing. But to say you're going to do this, you're going to get this, they're scared, Just think about going back to high school. I say it all the time. Who am I going to sit with? Who am I going to talk to?
Yeah.
That was terrifying for me.
Right.
And now you might have, I can't hear very well, I can't see very well, I know I'm forgetful. That's scary. So add all that change to a 90-year-old or an 80-year-old,
Right.
That's a lot of change. So we got to kind of take a step back and see what is their holdup? What are you scared of? Because it's a big change.
It is a big change.
Yeah.
Is there an average amount of time that they can live there as long as they want, correct? And what's the longest you've ever had somebody live there or currently living there?
Oh, you have one resident there. She's been there since, so we're celebrating Westfield our 20th anniversary this year. She was one of our first residents. She's still there.
Wow,
And
so
in
she's been there all
Chicopee,
20 years.
yeah, Chicopee, we have 2 residents, one that moved there in 2007 and one in 2009.
So this isn't just a short-term thing. This is as long as they,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
And I'm guessing once they create relationships with the staff, they obviously have relationships with the people around them and their friends, and it is their own little, it's like the villages of Florida.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes,
Right.
exactly.
Wow.
Yep.
Sounds like fun. I should come over for a tour myself.
That's why I love my job.
I see that. I like that. So let's get into the less fun part of it and kind of the meat and potatoes part of it. So as I understand, it is a income-based program, but can you talk about that, how it's different from other programs?
Yes, so affordability, there's two different ways at the Arbors, and this goes for Westfield Arbors, Chicopee Arbors, and our Greenfield Arbors. We have this, we call it a tax credit program. But there's two different ways you can pay rent. One is a self-pay. So for that, and this includes everything, the housekeeping, the care, everything that we've talked about, would be $7,000 a month. If you're eligible for this tax credit program, the only thing that that makes you eligible is that your gross income a year falls under $46,000.
Okay.
And if you do qualify, instead of paying $7,000, you'll pay $5,300 a month.
Oh, okay. 5,300 if they qualify.
Yes. And what's included, so it's income. So I could have $2,000 a month coming in from Social Security. I can have a house down the street, a house on the Cape, and I could have some investments, $300,000 in my savings account, and I will still qualify for this program.
Oh, really?
Okay? So it's not, because if I'm making $2,000 a month and I have to pay the Arbors $5,300, I got to pull from something, right? So you do typically have to have savings to do this. But it stretches it out. I mean, you're saving $1,700, a month by being
Right.
qualified for this program.
Okay, so it's not. So let's talk about the 46,000. That's income. That's not what they own in assets. So you mentioned having all these homes in different places. So their assets could be well over $1 million, but it's what they're physically making for income for that year, whether it's
Correct.
interest off of their investments,
Correct.
Social Security. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So there's a very small, I think it's 0.45%, not 45%, 0.45% of the assets that gets calculated into it. But if they're making a good amount on their income from assets, that's what's calculated into there. So we have our regular income, and then income from assets gets calculated. So sometimes people will have a regular income of, $30,000 a year, but they have a lot of investments, and they're really pulling in from them, and that could throw them over income. But we have to do our own verifications. We work with the families and very closely with them because it's a lot. This is a lot.
And I'm guessing, like with IRAs and stuff, there's a point where you have to start drawing down. My wife and I are at that point now. So that could all of a sudden, you may have your income here, but all of a sudden you realize you've reached a tax year based on age that now you have to start drawing in like 10% of whatever it is out of your IRAs
Right.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So that can really throw that off.
Yeah.
So let's say that they qualify. So let's say they're at 45,000. So they qualify. And then I'm going to just use this as an example. All of a sudden their IRAs kick in and now they're required to take these withdrawals. It could push them up, say, to 47. What happens at that point if they go over the 46? What happens?
So once you're eligible, you're always eligible.
Oh, okay. So it's initial.
And there's I'm not going to get into the nitty gritties because
Right.
they're going to turn the TV off. But if they go over a little bit down the road, that's fine.
Okay.
It's when we certify somebody, it's from now and moving forward, and then what do you anticipate
Okay.
in the next 12 months?
Okay.
So if they anticipated the one time a year required minimum distribution, we would put that in there. We'd calculate it in there if we know they're going to get it.
Okay.
But sometimes there's veterans benefits out there. So there's a veterans benefit called the aid in attendance.
Oh.
So a veteran or a surviving spouse of a veteran may be eligible. So a surviving spouse of a veteran living in assisted living could receive about $1,500 a month
Okay.
on top of their income.
Okay.
And then part of that is counted towards tax credit. It's a fun game. But, so there's so many options out there that we
Right.
are aware of that we can
Right.
use. But once you're eligible, you're always eligible.
That's the key question. So they don't have to worry about it. If they know they're under that and they qualify, they're good to go going
Yep.
forward. So
Yep.
that's good to hear. I just had another question and it just went out. Oh, I know what it was.
Yes.
So what triggers the 46? Is it based on their tax return that's what you're looking at, or is there any time of year that they have to prove that they're at 46, or can that happen? How do you verify the 46?
So we have them fill out an application.
Okay.
And I mean, even before that, if I'm having a conversation with you, and we finally get to the financial part of the conversation, I'm going to say, okay, well, this is how much it is. And if I say 7,000, they're, I can read them and say, okay, what's your income? What's your monthly income? And what do you have for savings and assets? So then we try and gauge it and kind of lead the way with that. And then if they sound like they'd be eligible and they want to move forward, we would have them fill out an application.
Okay.
So they list everything.
Okay.
Then once we get the application, we go through it with them, and we send out third-party verifications. We have to verify them ourselves.
Okay.
So sometimes it usually takes probably a week or two,
Okay,
depending
so
what
it's
they
pretty
have.
quick.
It can be. Sometimes it could be 3 weeks, but it just depends. But we work closely with the families so they can give us some backup paperwork if needed.
So that's really, it's kind of like taking a loan out of, you're just verifying what you have for income and stuff, or buying a house, it's.
And we
so
research them once a year.
Okay.
So on their anniversary date, right before their anniversary date, about 3 months before, we start recertifying them.
Oh, you do? So they
Yes.
have to get recertified every year?
Yes.
But that's not any big deal, or?
No, we just ask if there's any changes. Did they win the lottery? Any new income? And then we just recertify them.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good to know. And obviously, anybody that's been there for 20 years already, well, once you're in, you're in.
That's right.
So the Mass Health, is this affiliated with Mass Health at all? Does that have, or is this totally independent from that?
It's completely separate from Mass Health.
Okay.
Completely separate, two different things. Tax credit is a federal program.
Okay.
Mass Health is the same as Medicaid. People get this confused. I think we were talking about it this morning. Chelsey goes, I still get confused over it. It's a lot. So Mass Health and Medicaid are the same thing.
Oh, they are?
Medicaid is like federal, but Mass Health is the state program for Medicaid.
Oh, okay.
I think in Connecticut they call it Title 19 or something. And then you have Medicare.
You're right.
So that's a federal insurance. That's the little red, white, and blue card people, the seniors might use to go into the hospital or rehab or something like that. So those are three different things.
Wow. Okay, great. And then concerning doctors and stuff, is there any restriction? They keep their own doctors and their own regular, whatever they had for medical care and relationships, does that travel with them when they're here?
It can, yes. Yep. Just like whatever they would bring in their home or do at their house, same thing here.
Okay.
We do also, though, have a doctor. We have a Dr. May. A lot of assisted
do?
livings, I think, use her.
Okay.
She's amazing. Her team is amazing. But they'll come into the community. So if, families, kids picking up mom and dad to take them to the doctors all the time, it can be a lot. It can be a lot for them and for the resident. Dr. May's team comes in. So they can get PT, OT, it's like having your what do you call it? PCP. Come right in.
Right.
Come right to your house.
Wow.
So
And again, if they have to go to the doctors, they can have family members take them, they can drive themselves, or you have a van that will take them?
we do have a van, but it's not for the doctor's
Oh, it's
appointments.
not.
So
Okay.
what the Arbors does, because some assisted livings do have that, they have a van that takes them.
Right.
But typically what happens is there's maybe a handful of residents that are okay to go to the doctors by themselves, but if they're a little forgetful, for example, dropping them off and then hoping mom goes in and tells the doctor everything, it's probably not going to happen. So we use Integra, which is our sister company. So we can set it up where we have their own aide or companion come pick them up, take mom into the doctors, go into the office with them, report back to the daughter, take them to the 99 on the way home. So that's how the Arbors does their transportation. It's more of a one-on-one.
Interesting. Okay.
It's a separate cost, but it's very worth it.
Got it. And so I guess one of the questions is, how does this program help make assisted living more affordable for people? It's just their living costs are reduced, and it's all inclusive. So they're not paying for heat and electricity and oil. I mean, it's an all inclusive.
Everything's included, and their services. So an hour of personal care every single day. It can be broken up throughout the day, but yeah, they're only paying that one thing. Their cable and phone is separate, so they pay for whatever cable they want or their
okay.
telephone. A lot of them have their cell phones. And then I think the only other thing that's separate is if we do laundry or they get their hair done.
Okay.
We have a hairdresser there, so that can go right on
Oh,
their bill,
really?
too. Yeah. Of course.
It's just,
Wine, hairdressing.
it's just sounding like a cruise ship that's just sitting in
I
one
told
place.
you.
I know, it's
Yes.
pretty nice living. And, I know what I was going to ask you. So, Chelsey, the furniture is already there? They don't have to bring in their own furniture?
So we have kind of two different programs. So if they're coming in to be a permanent resident with us, then they bring all of their furniture from home. So they can make it, their family photos are on their walls, their special chair is there. So they bring everything from home so they can make it just the way that they want it. If they're coming in on a temporary basis, we do have a respite apartment, which is a fully furnished apartment. So they can come in, if they're just joining us for a couple of weeks, maybe they want to try assisted living, they're not sure, or maybe they, are coming out of rehab, they want to stay with us, for a couple of months, just get a little bit stronger before they go home. That's a fully furnished apartment.
Oh, that's interesting.
It'd be
So
like
there
a
is
trial stay.
there is temporary. That's interesting. And then, but they're not bringing all their belongings. I'm sure there's not a lot of storage, or it's just clothing primarily and just some personal items.
Yeah, and they would it's a one-bedroom apartment,
Right.
so they're probably bringing, like Chelsey said, their favorite chair or their couch, TV, and then their bedroom,
Right.
dressers, nightstands, whatever. So sometimes going from a 2,000 square foot house into a one-bedroom apartment is a lot.
That's why I was going with
Yes,
that.
yes.
So there's no bicycles and
no.
kayaks and
Yeah.
it's amazing how much you accumulate.
Yeah. I just looked at my garage. Never mind.
Yeah, I know it.
I don't know where it comes from.
So basically, just what they need.
So downsizing alone is a thing,
Right. Again, I guess I would equate the cruise ship analogy. It's what you would take on a cruise, because you're not bringing it. You're just bringing the clothing that you need for whatever it is. So how does this help? I think one of the fears and concerns for seniors is, are they going to have enough money? Do they have enough assets to last their natural life? And so how does this program really help them stretch their assets? And are you helping to manage that and look at that to ensure that they can do this?
We
or
help
how
to
far-
plan it.
Okay.
We help to plan it. And
I don't know how far you get into that.
No, I do, because I would never want to move somebody in that's there for a year and then now they can't afford it. And the most common question we get from families is, so what happens when mom runs out of money? You kick her out?
Right.
We don't kick her out. However, it's the same thing. I have to pay my mortgage once a month. I have to pay
Yes.
my rent. So
Right.
sometimes when they think we're a medical facility or residential, they're renting an apartment. It's more expensive because they're receiving all these services. So we try to come up with a plan. Sometimes the plan is there is no plan. Mom's money is going to last 5 years. She's going to have great, good quality 5 years. And then we can see where we're at then. Maybe we're going to have another program. Maybe there's something we can do, depending what their income is. It's like a one-on-one, situation. We do have limited spots for a mass health program. It's a PACE program, but that's for residents that have lived there for many years and have spent down their assets there. So we can't just take somebody from, have them move in on this program. There's specific programs for our residents that have stayed there for a long time.
That's
So it's a
interesting.
case-by-case situation.
So there is some other resources that they could
Yes.
trigger based on how long they've been there.
And we work with Elder Life, which is, colleges have a financial aid office. This is the senior living financial aid office that we contract with. So they can help. There's a thing called a bridge loan, for example. So if they say, well, I have to sell my house before I can move in there, what they can do is they can offer a bridge loan. So they'll directly pay the Arbors from that loan. So it allows the resident to be able to move in while they're situating their house and getting it on the market, so they can have those funds up front.
So the sale of the house I would think that's a big pool of money that they have now to help pay
Yeah.
for this going forward.
Yeah.
Wow,
So,
interesting.
so that's a stressful thing. But this Elder Life, they can help with veterans benefits. They can help with the bridge loans. If there's a long-term care insurance policy that some residents have, they can help them read through that to be able to use that for the Arbors, to pay the Arbors. So there's a whole financial aid office that we work very closely with. So Yeah.
That's interesting. Are there other facilities besides the Arbors that offer the same kind of thing? Are you the only one? Is this your niche, or are there other companies that provide the same kind of a service?
Our niche being family owned and having the tax credit program, I don't think there might be one other assisted living that has it, but I don't even know if that's true. So I really think it's mostly the Arbors that has it. And
So
then
this is a pretty unique program.
it is. And then the Elder Life, the financial aid that we use, they might work with other assisted livings. I'm just not sure which ones.
Yeah.
But
Wow, interesting. This has been fascinating. So is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to bring out that would help people with this decision and just information in general?
I mean, you can add stuff too, Chelsey, but I think sometimes people don't know when or where to start.
Yeah, that's a good, yeah.
You know, they don't know. And they're like, oh, she's not ready yet. And a lot of the times by the time people call me or Chelsey, they should have maybe called a year prior, you know? It's very hard to have that conversation with your mom. I moved my grandma in, and to have her move in, it's not easy to tell a mom or a grandma hey, Graham, we got to do this. So that conversation alone can be scary to have. So sometimes that's what holds up. You know, I can't talk to mom about this yet, or sometimes they have to shop around and learn about the world of senior living, the finances, what it offers, before they even want to bring it up to their mom. Sometimes mom's on board, so even better. But I think just coming in and just looking at it, sometimes a lot of residents, 80s, 90s, they think we're a nursing home. And it's not a nursing home. So they're like, I'm not ever going there. But once they see it, they can kind of relax just a little bit. So even just to come see it, there's no pressure. We are resources. That's what we are.
Are there medical restrictions for people being able to be part of this community? Or if they start having more medical issues, is there a point where they can't live here and they would have to go to something else? Or are you able to, through your resources and programs, help them as they age and as they
Yeah, we
create
have
more
many
medical
levels of
issues?
care, so that
Okay.
we can always add on to that. But there's, I would say, about two little points where, you know, if a resident would need like a Hoyer lift, something
Okay.
like that, that can become very expensive. That's not something we typically do. It's not something that we do. And then if there's any disruptive behaviors, right? So sometimes with dementia, there can be a little bit of agitation, and we can
right,
redirect. We're
right.
trained to do all that. But there might be something going on with the resident, and then they get a little disruptive, or, you know, I tell the families, mom can't come in here beating people up or yelling at staff or anything like that. So, but those are really, we can't bear somebody's weight. So they have to be able to transfer for the most part.
Okay.
But we can escort them to the dining room, to activities. You know, we can do all of those things. They don't have to be able to walk a mile.
But they basically have to be able to function, you know, in a regular basis, on a daily basis. To your point, it's not a medical facility.
Right.
Right.
But there's support. You know, we can do safety checks. So sometimes people call, mom keeps falling. We're afraid she's going to be at home and she's going to fall and not hit her button because she doesn't want to bother anybody. So sometimes what we call safety checks. So we can go in there and make sure 2 or 3, 4 times at night, we just peek in there, make sure they're in their bed, they didn't get up and fall on the floor. So that peace of mind just keeps coming around for resident and families. But we can do that. Also, I forgot what I was going to say, 'cause I could talk about this all day long. Sorry.
That's all right. I know I was going to ask you, is this restricted just to Westfield residents, or can anybody from anywhere?
Anybody.
Okay.
Anybody.
So just because it's here in Westfield doesn't mean, or in Chicopee, doesn't mean you have to live in those communities. These are not community focused. So it could be people from
Anybody.
wherever.
Yep.
Do you get them for people from all over New England, or they can come in from?
Yeah, I mean, Westfield, you know, Westfield people stay in Westfield. Westfield, right? I mean, Chelsea's from Westfield. Now she lives in Chicopee, but most of the residents, Southwick, Westfield. We get some from West Springfield,
Okay.
Holyoke, Southampton.
Okay. So the
Chicopee is
surrounding
mostly
area.
Chicopee, South Hadley.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, very cool. So I want to ask you, where can they get more information? You have a website. I've been on that as I was trying to learn more about this. Very nice website, by the way. And the thing I would say to our viewers, what's the address for your website?
It's www.arbors, we got to put the S in there, arborsassistedliving.com.
And the thing that I would say is, because I spent quite a bit of time on there myself as I was prepping for this interview, it's very easy to navigate. There's a lot of information. Their pictures are in there, so you'll see them as you go through the different pages. But I think to their point, you want to start researching and thinking about this. You may not be ready for it, but you should at least start researching and looking at what the options are. And
where Chelsey's picture is on there, when you go into Westfield, you'll see Chelsey's cute little face, and her cell phone number is right there. Right, that's your cell phone number right there.
Oh, so they
if
can
it's
call you.
easier just to text her and say,
Right.
"Hi, I saw you on the show. We want information, but we're really not ready yet." You know,
Right.
even that way too, Chelsey can.
And they could call anytime and come for an appointment at any time. It's not any restrictions on anything. And when they come, what should they bring with them? Should they be bringing tax papers at all, or is that too early at that point? They just need to show up to gain information. They don't need to bring anything with them.
Yeah, they can come, just by themselves and just come to kind of look around. If they have a specific question, they want to bring something that they want to talk about specifically, of course, they're more than welcome to. But really, when they come in, it's just about getting to know them and them getting to know us.
Wow.
And if they do want, some people need all the answers right away, and that's okay. Just have an idea of what the person that you're looking for, like a monthly income, a ballpark of savings and assets, and then we can kind of pull the information from them as we go. But just to have an idea so we can kind of give them a number if they want that.
Anything else that we should chat about that we haven't? We've covered a lot of ground here.
We did. I don't know. I could talk about this all day. Love my job. And I just think that it's such a peace of mind being in assisted living for the families and for the residents. I keep saying it, but just to come and look, even if you're not ready to make the move, just call Chelsey.
Yeah. So with that being said, start the process. If you do, if you're starting to think about the fact that mom or dad or anybody else in your family needs some additional care, it's the time to start researching so that when you get ready to make that move, you've got the information, you've met fine people like these, and you're going in on an informed basis and something that you can feel comfortable with. And I think that the idea of coming in for an interview, you're interviewing them to see if it's right for you, and to get a tour of the facility. I'm guessing they could, definitely they probably want to check out the dining room and what you have for meals. I'm sure there's probably a menu that's put out daily or for the week. But it really sounds like a great opportunity for people who are looking for this type of lifestyle and really developing a family. And I love the word, you continue to use the word community, and I love that word because that's what it is. So. Well, I just want to say thank you, Sondra Jones, and who's the Regional Sales and Marketing Director, and Chelsey Welch, Director of Marketing at the Arbors here in Westfield. I want to thank the two of you for coming in. Really have enjoyed this interview, and you provide an important service. So thank you for the great work you do. Congratulations. 20 years?
23.
23 years.
Yes.
I'm impressed with that. See, you got one, and one down, you got 22 more to go to catch up to her. So there you go. I just want to remind our viewers that this program does re-air every Tuesday and Thursday throughout the month at 2:45 on Thursdays again. So you can watch it at your leisure, and if you want to see it again, if there's something you missed. And let me get the phone number again of where they can call.
Yep, so they can call the building at 413-562-0001, or they can call me directly at 413-896-7524.
I'm going to ask you to give those two numbers one more time.
Of course. So the building number is 413-562-0001, or you can call me directly on my cell phone at 413-896-7524.
That's great. Chelsey and Sondra, thank you so much for coming in. Special thanks to Pete Coles, our WCPC Westville Cable Channel 15 manager and producer, for his help and support to make this program happen. And on behalf of Pete Coles, Mike Squindo, and Tina Gorman, I'm Harry Rock, and this has been another edition of the Westfield Council on Aging Presents. Have a great time every day. Have a great day, everybody. Spring is coming. Get out there, enjoy the nicer weather as it's starting to show up with the longer days. We'll see you on the next show. Thanks, everybody.